Welcome. In front of me is a Motorola Moto G85, and today I will show you a couple tweaks and the tricks you can do on this phone. So to get started, let's open up our settings, and I'm gonna begin with the display section. So right over here, and we have a couple of things right here. So we have things like dark mode. So we can enable permanent dark mode by just switching that on, or you can tap on the text and you actually have the option to select it on a schedule. And we have on a custom timer from sunset to sunrise, or on at bedtime, which I guess that would be kind of like a custom timer, I would assume. So yeah, we have a couple options here. Then below that we have colors. This allows you to select the vibrancy or saturation of the display. If you find that the colors on the display are a bit too colorful, let's call it, you can switch it to something, for instance, like natural, which should give you a more toned down version of colors that might look more realistic. This is something that I prefer to do on most devices, as I find that the color saturation of just the display is overdone on almost every device. Now below that we have things like refresh rate. We have a couple options. We have the auto, 60 and 120. Now to be honest, I do recommend keeping it on auto for majority of the people, but for the ones that don't really see much of a difference between 60 and 120, or just want to prioritize battery life, you could select it to be permanently 60. This might give you a better battery life. Next, a little bit lower, we have edge lighting. I personally don't really find that useful, but I do want to mention, as it is here, when you get a notification, the edges of the display kind of light up. Now here it's demonstrating the phone kind of flipped on the table with the screen down. Let's be honest, in this environment there's no way in hell you're gonna see the actual light from a display being reflected off the table. So this is just unrealistic. At nighttime, sure, when it's, for instance, in a dark room, you will see, but you know, your phone doesn't need to actually be flipped with the screen downwards for this to work. So again, it just kind of like flashes the edges of the screen to notify you about things like calls, notifications, and so on. Now let's go back to the main settings page, and in here we also have the personalize section. And this is a area where you can just customize a bunch of the different things in terms of like look and feel of your device. Things like fonts, colors, icon shapes, and icon packs, wallpapers, themes, and then we have even lower things like sound, dark mode, edge lighting, fingerprint animation, and layouts. So I do recommend going over these, as this is a pretty extensive customization section for the device. I'm just kind of wanted to point that out. I'm not really going to go over here and customize anything, as there is too much stuff to actually show here, and there could be more depending if you download some kind of like icon packs. You would have multiple choices. But anyway, moving back to the main settings page, we can now scroll down to gestures, and here we have a couple additional things. So we have things like number one, navigation mode. So if you selected gestures and maybe you want buttons, you can switch them here, or vice versa. Additionally, we do have the settings for both of them, and under gesture settings we have the option to turn off the assistant, which you typically just kind of like activate like that. I personally don't like it, so I do like to turn that off, as it's just kind of annoying me, and sometimes I just swipe from the edge on an unfortunate angle that activates this, even though I just kind of wanted to go home. And additionally, we have the option to hide this little gesture bar, which is a very nice thing in terms of like making the device look a bit more clean. Now going back to the gestures page, we have several other things. We have sidebar. This is something that nowadays a bunch of devices have, and apparently Motorola also implemented this, but unfortunately it looks like it's turned off by default. It is something that I really like. So the way it works is, once it's enabled, you can just kind of swipe from the side. Oh, there we go, it's barely visible. So we do have a, maybe I can catch it. You vaguely can see an outline right here of it. So it does kind of bring up this kind of little, if I can bring up any way to show this. It brings up this kind of bar almost on the side, and when you swipe on it, it gives you a bunch of applications. Now you can customize these applications. You can also view all of them by clicking on this little grid right here. And what it allows you to do is either split screen applications quickly and easily, or open them up in a pop-up view. So if you tap on it, it will open it up in a pop-up. If you hold and drag it out, just to demonstrate this, like so, you can see we can drop it in a pop-up view. Now we can have 3 applications open simultaneously, and just to demonstrate this, and do it like this, and for some reason that didn't open up in a pop-up view. Let's try that again. Oops. Well, now I completely messed it up. Okay, so apparently I can't have 3 applications. So we are limited to 2 applications in split screen, or 2 in like 1 big one and 1 in pop-up view, I presume. Let's test that theory out. So close this, and let's bring up calculator again. Nope, never mind, for some reason. That's just dumb. Now, out of curiosity, in this case, I'm gonna minimize this. So yeah, I am still limited to 2 applications. And for some dumb reason, it doesn't allow you to bring up the pop-up one if you already have an open up. So you have to first open up the pop-up and then the application. It is pretty limited. Hopefully they can iron out the kinks right here, because this is infuriating to use at the moment. Even though it does work, you have to go out of your way to use it. Once it works like majority of the other devices seamlessly, where it just allows you to bring up pop-up over normal applications, and also allows you to use this with 2 split screen applications, because let's be honest, a half a decade old device can do that, but apparently Motorola can't. So yeah, once they fix it up, which I assume they probably will, as most devices, like I said, nowadays have this, at least the bigger brands. And it's a very handy thing to have. It's just this one is a bit limited at the moment. It's still useful to some extent, though like I said, you would kind of need to go out of your way to actually use it. Anyway, moving on back to the main settings page. Nope, I didn't want to close that. There we go. Additional thing in here is the flashlight, which... oh, there we go. Fast torch. Unfortunately, I don't think we have the option to change it. We have just vibration. So the reason I'm mentioning that is some devices allow you to choose how to launch it. I personally like it on a double press of a power button. I don't care for the camera on a double press, but what I do care about is flashlight. Here we have this wonky little like shake of the device, which you can see, and this is enabled by default. So just kind of demonstrate it. The screen is locked. So yeah, that's kind of how you launch it. So I don't know if this ever turns on randomly, maybe if you're like jogging or something like that and you have your phone in your pants. So that is something that you might test. If you find out that sometimes you just take out your phone and it has a flashlight on, it's probably this option right here, and you might want to turn it off. I'm going to check out something quickly right here. So we have press and hold or double press power button, and we have a launch camera or none, unfortunately. So I was hoping it would give me maybe some option to launch an application or some shortcut, but it does not. So anyway, this would conclude all the tweaks and tricks that I want to show you. So if you found this video helpful, don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and thanks for watching.